Welcome to the Memoirs 424 2022. I like those numbers, they sound good to me. We are here to obsess about Napoleon. It's what I love to do. And I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm doing it. I am trying to prove that Napoleon lives among us. He's unfortunately got himself caught into quite a trap, as have I, unfortunately, because we have a group of financiers who are working against us all the time, and they're uh, working to trap us. Let me tell you about my traps. I am continually harassed at my house. They come to my house and break things on my property, drive around my house, let me feel that I'm not safe in my fairly rural town of Watermill, New York, in the middle of the Hamptons. I'm being intimidated. And they think they can do anything they want as long as they don't get caught. And you know what? They're right. So I want to explain my traps to you. In New York State, the Constitution is being very seriously infringed. I wonder what kind of politicians pass laws that infringe on the Constitution of our nation. I bet you they were bought by the people who are setting up all kinds of traps around me. And this wonderful artist that I want to vindicate. Um, and then I can't take a gun out of a house. Okay. So the only place that I can have a gun legally is in my house. So I'm kind of stuck home if I want to protect my life, because if I leave the house with a gun, I'm a criminal. The Second Amendment of the United States is that we have the right to bear arms and it shall not be infringed. Sounds like a pretty major infringement. Why is the state of New York running laws on me that are in violation of the Constitution? And I'm sure the answer is because these financiers bought the politicians who changed the law and had our Constitution infringed on. So basically, if I want to have a gun on me to protect myself from basically organized crime, I have to stay home to protect myself. That's the only place I can legally protect myself in New York State, because the Constitution is being infringed on. So obviously, they can run around with all the guns they want, and they can intimidate me and play games against me as much as they want, as long as they don't get caught. But if I leave the house with a gun, then I'm some kind of criminal. So that's really the problem. That's why I'm always saying that we need to have a new approach to justice. In other words, justice is not negotiable. They can't just run the world through organized crime, and then if I walk out of the house with a gun, I'm a criminal. If it's going to be the Wild West, it should be the Wild West, and I should be able to be armed, ready, willing, and able to protect myself. But in my state, I can't do that. So it kind of leaves me home when I know organized crime is after me. How do I know? Because they've come to my house so many times that even the police came to ward them off. That's how much I'm being intimidated by these sneaky people who think they can do anything they want as long as they don't get caught. Okay. And then they came up with another really cute little story that I don't know, you're supposed to take injections now for other people when you're healthy. And if you don't do it, you can't participate in society. Or I don't even know what the story is. I looked into it, and the government of Canada couldn't provide the slightest shred of evidence that this thing that we've heard so much about was even isolated. If this thing was quite the big deal, they would have been able to isolate it. That's how science works. It's called isolating it. They can't do it because, oh, I don't know why. Figure it out. Okay, so they made up this story that I have to take some kind of medical product, which actually my mother took it and died very quickly afterwards. So it would literally be something that I would perceive as a Russian roulette experience. And that's what I am being told I have to do if I want to travel, if I really want to do anything. involving outside the house. So they've, in two ways, trapped me. They infringe on the constitution of my country through buying politicians in my state that infringe on the Constitution. That's actually illegal. Why is New York State infringing on the Constitution of the nation? That is actually illegal. It shall not be infringed. It's in it's in the amendment. Why? Because they know why we need them, because of this group. This group is always going to do this. That's why it has to be the Wild West, because it's the Wild West on their end. And we're supposed to just be sheep hypnotized by the television, thinking that the TV cares about us. Okay. And I have shown repeatedly that I was blacklisted because I was reporting on news. Okay. The news. This is the news that I'm telling. I might be the only one. Who else is doing the news? I'm really not sure. I was once a writer for a paper. I do know how to do news. And all the people that didn't corroborate this story in any way were not doing news. They were doing press release distribution services. Okay. Somebody else came up with that story because I actually researched the story. Okay. And I checked things and nothing, very little. And I see no case that I should take a medical product for another person. I don't understand how that works. Anyway, my health's excellent. And that's a gift from God. And I'm so grateful for that, because when I started this project, I was extremely unhealthy. I was taking all kinds of pharmaceutical things just like to keep going. And I think I was sick because of pills. You know, I was taking pills, just normal pills that people take. And I became very sick. And now that I don't take pills and I don't go to the pharmacy or anything, I'm actually doing much better. So you have to really wonder when they're ordering you to take medical products, and these are arguably not even really good for you. And I'll just tell you right there, I'm actually doing much better now that I've gotten away from pills. So maybe these things aren't really to help us. How about we explore that idea? Anyway, so that was quite the rant of my own. But I want you to know that I am being specifically, deviously, intentionally trapped in various ways through lies, malignant stories, the infringement of laws. I mean, all of this rampant crime circulating around me. And why do I continue? Because that's what I'm doing. I do good, so they will do this to me. They are falling into my trap left and right. I know that if I tell the truth, they're going to do these things. I know if I do the right thing and if I help others, they're going to do these things, because I just know how they are. They can't have any loss of control. And for them, like negativity and fear and mental breakdowns, that's what they like. They feel in control in those kind of situations. But when people start to like grow up and think for themselves and become adults, they hate it. And that is what I want everybody to do. Just let's go to a different level. Let's leave them in the dust. I'm tired of it. I'll call them whatever, narcissists. I don't need abuse. And anyone who thinks that they have control over my life and they can come up with all of these stories to trap me in my house, and it's ridiculous. This is witchcraft. Okay, these people are witchcraft practitioners, and these are witchcraft techniques they're using. The way they're all pretending to ignore me. That's a witchcraft technique. Speaking of witchcraft, I'm going to segue right back into Napoleon, because I will never stop if I don't stop myself. Anyway, so in the various attempts that have been exacted to stop me from doing the wonderful things that I'm doing, I actually ran into a guru online in 2016 who I'm like so sure he put like love spells on me to get me under control, make me look stupid. He was like some kind of asset peripheral handler all day long, all day long. And he has sued me twice. Twice. Okay. Twice. So he's the only one out of them who can see me. So he's the one who sues me because I'm invisible to all the other ones. But this one, they can't deny that he's seen me. So they sue me repeatedly through him. Okay. I know, but whatever. It's the truth. Anyway, so I had the experience, I believe, of being put under multiple spells, and I felt what it was like. I was so into him. I thought he was so amazing, and then like, whoa, what was I thinking? And it happened overnight. And then I saw a lot of the other people involved in his situation had the same exact experience. So I was like, oh, okay, that's a love spell. Oh, that's interesting. Whatever. I had that experience. Anyway, so when I came back to the Napoleon love letters, I was like, oh, I think he was put under a love spell. That was my opinion. And I do talk to Napoleon. He's my whole life. So I can't talk about this without admitting that. I talk to him all the time. And he says he was. Anyway, so I can give you insight. Believe me, don't believe me, whatever. But I do ask him. I ask him about every little thing about his life. And I do want to know the truth about him. And I care about him. And he tells me down to his girlfriends. He tells me everything about his life. And I don't want to hear it, but he tells me. And so I'm very close with him. And he says she did put him under a spell. And Josephine was not above that in any way. And I'm going to go ahead and continue because the point of this is I want to let you know that like Elvis Costello is Napoleon, but I have to ask you to listen to the memoirs, get a sense of Napoleon's personality. Listen to what I have to say about Napoleon's personality. And then we're going to read this book by, I call him Coan for King of America, Napoleon Dynamite. It's a funny name, but I like to have a new name for him. And I don't feel that name is him. I feel that name belongs to financiers. That's my honest opinion. And it's no disrespect whatsoever, but I just don't feel that's his. I feel that name belongs to other people. And I don't want to use a name for him that's a product or a commercial entity. I feel like I don't feel that's him. But I respect very much the work he's done under that name. Anyway, so Napoleon was under a spell, I believe. And I see it in the love letters. And Napoleon even said on St. Helena, and this is certainly uh, my perception also, he said he didn't like Josephine at first. I'm going to tell you things no one else like even knows because I have the nth detail. He said he didn't even like her at first. He thought she was an intriguer. She was like old. She was kind of older than him, if you know what I mean. She was really um she had two children. She was one of the mistresses of somebody Napoleon was trying to get in with. One of the mistresses. Do you understand? She's like borderline a prostitute. It's horrible. It's the truth. She is going to do anything to survive. She almost died in the revolution. She has two children. She really does love her children, but she is going to do anything to survive. And she's an aristocrat. Remember this. She has to be rich. She has to spend a lot of money, and she can't ever really work. So it drives them into becoming borderline criminals. And even her own daughter, Hortense, who I feel who was like so moral, would say to her, "How can you be around these people? These are like revolutionaries who killed my father. What is wrong with you?" You know, she was like, her own daughter was shocked at her. This is the truth, you know? She was not, if you know Napoleon, that's not what he would want. He would want, what Hortense was is what he would want. That's his ideal. There's no question about it. She's honest, she's fair, she's a great musician. I mean, goes on and on and on. He wants that. He wants pure. He wants kind. He wants honest. It's just the way Napoleon is. That's what he wants in a woman. So if you know what he wants in a woman, it's not Josephine. It just isn't. So then, oh, suddenly he's so crazy about her. Suddenly he wants to marry her. Suddenly, and then they cart him off. You know, like he didn't even know her when he married her. These love letters were written by someone who did not know her at all. I mean, you have to understand Napoleon could fall in love with a hat. You know what I'm saying? He fell in love with anything because he was such a twin flame and he was so looking for that fulfillment that he would like projected on he would project it, and then he would fall madly in love with the woman, and then be like, "Oh no, that was really exciting. I had a crush, but it's not her." This happens over and over and over and over and over again with Napoleon. It's so important to understand that, and it's really I really want to express this. Josephine was really not his type, not at all, not a shoot. And then as soon as like the spell wears off, he's really not that into her anymore. And then he's like, "Oh, who's this here? This daughter's very interesting." It happens just like that. And Napoleon has told me it was horrific for him to be married, and then it's the daughter he want. It was horrible. He's told me this. It was horrible for him. It was a nightmare, and he could never be with her because he wanted to model good morality, and so he married her to his brother and tried to have a family through her in that way, and tried to keep her attached to him in that way, and it was a nightmare. See, now they're siblings, you know, they're father and daughter and siblings, and she's the mother of the children he's dying to have, and he loves her and he loves their children, and it makes his brother literally insane to watch this, how much they loved each other and how much they wanted to be. It's just like the saddest story ever, and like nobody but me knows it. And that's how I got into it. I knew there was something really important here between Napoleon and Hortense. Anyway, it's really tragic. But then Napoleon can't be with Hortense, so he finds the next girl, and 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 he's happy for a minute. And then he's like, "Oh, it's not Hortense. I'm miserable." And then at a certain point, Hortense's son dies, and it's very suspicious how her son dies. That, you know, no one could help him, of course. And this is in Holland. And after that, she's just totally suicidal. And Napoleon is terrified of losing her. I mean, this is the real story. And I'll try to say this briefly. I could go on forever about these things, but he was so terrified of losing her, and she was so obviously suicidal, and she was like wasting away and dying. She hated everything. You know, she hated that she couldn't be with Napoleon. She hated that her son died. She hated that her husband was abusing her. She hated that Napoleon cheated on her mother. That disgusted her. She was disgusted by him. She was disgusted by what kind of a husband he was. And she was like so in love with him, but then at the same time happy she wasn't with him. But she loved him. Josephine knew that he loved her and used it to keep that marriage going. Josephine would have done anything to keep that marriage going. And long story short, anyway, so the Austrian diplomats were snubbed in their court games at the palace, and Austria was starting another war with Napoleon. It's literally in the books that Napoleon started wars with Austria. That's not the case. The books literally are lying about things like that. Okay? Austria attacked Napoleon. Napoleon did not attack Austria. I've seen it in books written the wrong way. I'm like, oh my goodness. And most people don't know history well enough to realize that Austria always attacked Napoleon. It's not a minor detail. Okay, so Austria was about to attack Napoleon again. Okay, who do you think was running Austria at that time? Okay, so the Austrian diplomats were being snubbed, and then the wives knew that Hortense was so nice, and they said, "Please don't snub our husbands," and whatever. And then Hortense is like, "Sure, whatever, you know." So then Napoleon comes in, and he sees that his rules are not being followed. Napoleon does not like very much, but it's Hortense. So he's terrified of, she's going to kill herself or something. She's so miserable. He just doesn't even deal with it. This should tell you something about Napoleon, the real Napoleon. He's not going to, he knows she's being nice. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to cry. He knows she's being nice. He knows she's going to flip out if he doesn't let her be nice. You know, this is so sad. Anyway, so when the Austrians came back later wanting to manipulate him into one of these, deals that they're always making where they promise to give you what you want, but then they hook you. And in the end, they don't even give you what you want. They were doing one of these wonderful deals that they're always doing with Napoleon. And they had to pull the strings on Napoleon. So suddenly, Hortense comes into her house, and these Austrian bigwigs have barged their way into her house. And they're saying to her, oh, Napoleon has to do this, and Napoleon has to do that. Napoleon has to do all these things. Oh, for peace, for peace, for peace. Like Austria cared about peace. They were the ones who started all the wars. But suddenly, oh, for peace, for peace, for peace, Hortense. You have to get him to do whatever we want Napoleon to do. And then she says that to them, he's going to do this, that, and the other. And I'm not going to talk to him because I already know what he's going to do. Anyway, she just was his twin flame. She could speak for him. She knew everything about him. And then, and she was always right. She was like almost smarter than him in a way. And so they saw that he did exactly what she said he was going to do. And it's just because she knew him that well. It's incredible. But Napoleon was married to basically an Austrian asset. And where did they go to manipulate Napoleon? See? So everybody knew the situation. Okay, so let's take a time machine back to the beginning of Napoleon's marriage, where he's not into Josephine, and then suddenly he's crazy about Josephine, and then suddenly he's married to Josephine, and he's rushing off to Italy with all of these incredible ambitions. He's 25 years old. He's skinny, strange, funny haircut, and he's going off to take over Italy with starving soldiers with no shoes, insurrection. There's been revolution for years. The secret societies have run France into the ground. And Napoleon goes out. He says, I'm going to take over Italy. He says, this can be easy. So he's so incredible. He's so incredible. So, and then he writes these letters. And I think he's under a spell. And he's so crazy about Josephine. And it defies everything. And I want you to see that this is like the raw naked him. And I want to make a comparison between him and Cohen. And Napoleon's known for his love letters. And, Cohen's known for his love songs. So that's a huge coincidence right there. Most people are not known for love language, but both are. Here, uncontested. I could do this. I'm going to do this forever. It's easy. I can prove it from every angle. So I just want you to hear the way Napoleon sounded. And that's why this is so cool. If you will listen to the memoirs, and if you will listen to, whatever I come up with, you'll find out who Napoleon was. And then we'll go into this book for the first time together and see if it's a match. And I know it is going to be a match. That's like putting me to the test. Because I know everything I'm saying is hard to believe. I have trouble believing my situation. In many ways, I literally can't believe it. So I understand if you can't believe what I'm saying. I'm always proving it to myself, and hopefully to you too, because these things are real. They're happening, and life isn't what they're saying it is. It's spiritual, and you don't have to be terrified about money all the time. There's other flows and stuff. It's they have us thinking it's like money, but it's like your destiny and what you're here to do. And because I don't, it works out. It doesn't have to be terrorism over money and bioterrorism to create stories to trap me in my house. I just hope people can really see. I have 0 people watching right now, and I have 0 likes. That's pretty cool. I like when they They go all the way with it. Okay, so this is Napoleon, okay? This is his voice, and I think you'll find it's very similar to Cohen's voice. Paris, December 1795. A week full of you, your image, and last evening's intoxication have left my senses no repose whatever. Sweet and incomparable Josephine, what a strange effect do you produce upon my heart. Are you vexed? Do I see you sad? Are you troubled? My soul is crushed with grief, and there is no repose for your lover. But is there any the more when abandoning myself to the profound emotion which masters me, I draw from your lips, from your heart, a flame which consumes me? Ah, it was last night. I really understood that your portrait was not you. You are leaving at noon. I shall see you in 3 hours. Meanwhile, mio dolce amor, 1,000 kisses, but do not give me any, for they burn my blood. That's Napoleon. That's the real Napoleon. He was incredible. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say here is that he is directing the passion that is always in him. He's always like this. He always has this fire burning in him to be with his twin flame. And it's so powerful, it's so painful for him that it gets projected at different people. And then it almost comes across as like a love addiction or a sex addiction or something. He's in so much pain on a romantic level that he's like looking for romantic solutions. And he thinks if he falls in love with somebody or finds somebody else, it'll be okay and he'll feel better. I'm trying to say he's got such an ache. He's such a romantic figure because of this. And it's what makes him so, it defines him that he's in this like passionate frenzy all the time and he can't deal with it. And it comes out in his ambitions and it comes out in his, like looking for love, he looks for love. He can't be alone. He's so missing that twin flame and he can't be with his stepdaughter. And that's the story. And so really one of the few knocks you can make on Napoleon is that he was like a cheater and he was, I guess you even call him promiscuous. And then you think, well, how does that work with having a twin flame? Shouldn't he just been waiting for her? But I think it can go the other way. I have talked a lot to him about this because this is such a horrible issue between us. I hate his cheating so much. It bothers me. It's so disgusting to me. And he's like, it's not that I didn't love you. It's that it hurt me. So I was in so much pain. He always says that. It's not that I didn't love you. It's that I was in so much pain. So it's like it's always explained to me like that. It's like paradoxically the opposite. And I really see that with Cohen also. To me, that's the most similar of the two. It just in dealing with them and looking at them and just seeing them that they're really like twin flames and they're in agony over it. And they can't just have a normal life and have a 9 to 5 job and uh, like they have to do great things because they have to deal with this pain that they have, which is this like yearning for the twin flame. I know it's true. I see it in both of them, and it's what drives me too. So I know how painful it is. It's like excruciating, and it is so painful. It's so painful, and it's so. And I want to, since I went through the trouble to say all of this, I really want to say that the people who have created all of these, blocks and traps around both of us, this is just exposing them and showing that these are heartless monsters because they would have to be heartless monsters to do the things that they've done to us. All Cohen ever wanted, I'm sure, was to benefit the world. I'm 100, whatever vilification corner they've maneuvered him into, and I can see very clearly the games they're playing with him. They hate him. They hate him. They hate him. They hate him. He's always given them so much trouble. This is the truth. And now they're trying to make him look like a sellout traitor. And see what they do. He's actually not a sellout traitor. He's being like maneuvered into it. And they've done a million things to put him in this corner. And they only could put him in this corner because he lives in a world where this person can make money out of the air through a sort of witchcraft. He can magically produce all of this money for himself and anyone who wants to help him do crimes. And people like me and Cohen don't like it. And then they target us in a special way because we're a huge threat to this wonderful situation that they have created for themselves where they can make all of the rules. The laws in the countries don't matter. The justice systems don't work anymore. And they can just do slaving and all the crimes that they do. Okay, so they're doing these things specifically to me and Cohen. And was being framed as like a Trump insurgent. I don't know what I was. And then I was framed as some kind of carrier of disease. What was that? I was a Edgertown disease. I had a disease. I was trying to figure out how the framing was working on that. Vector of disease. Like I'm dangerous because I don't take Russian roulette injections from the people that come to my house to intimidate me and blacklist me from the media because I refuse to participate in their lives. I need to take some sort of liquid from them or else I can't participate. From the very people that blacklisted me because I'm honest. See how it works? These are some thin pretexts. And I will say this officially and forever. They can't do anything unless they have a pretext. My whole uh, manner of fighting them is I won't let them have pretexts. They have no pretext to shut down my Napoleon memoirs. See how easy it is? They have no pretext. They can't say, oh, our boss is the great grandson or whatever, the guy who killed him. Shush. They can't do anything like that. It's history. So they have no pretext. So as long as they don't have a pretext, they are so frustrated. They came up with this incredible pretext. They're so like stretching their pretexts now. It's a joke. Anyway, like you said, please, world, be kind. Help us not be trapped by these organized crime, lie. I mean, I'm supposed to stay home. It killed my mother. My health is excellent, but I'm being framed as a vector of disease who has to take something, and I know who's behind it. I would never take anything. I mean, you can't even imagine. I would only expect poison from them. I have a reasonable expectation that if they put something in my body, it would be more than likely poison. See what I'm saying? So we cannot go along with them. No. Okay, we're going to continue with Cohen's memoirs, where I'm so sure you're going to see a very similar kind of person to Napoleon. Napoleon was intense. Napoleon was a genius. I mean, already the comparisons just keep rolling in. They're generally similar. Just I don't even have to explain it. Just they're both like powerful. You know, they both have an emotional power to them and a charisma. Not arguable. Anyway, so let's continue. In the 11th hour of that day, I walked home over the Penny Bridge that crossed the west float of the Birkenhead docks to my Nana's house in the North End Only sound was a dull clang of my own footfalls on the metal grate above black water. I'd kept my Friday night date to sing a few songs at the lamplight, a folk evening lodged within the Remploy Social Club, which was attached to a factory staffed by people with disabilities. I have no memory of what I may have sung that evening. I was probably in shock. I couldn't sleep that night. I spent the fearful waking hours cursing Sister Philomena, remembering how she'd come into a class of 8 and 9-year-olds and told us, by the time you reach 30 years old, not all of you will be alive. I suppose this was just a melodramatic way of giving us some sense of mortality and responsibility for our eternal souls. When I think of it now, I can only imagine how very young and inexperienced she must have been, just accidentally cruel and not meaning to wield the legendary lash of the Catholic fear. By Sunday night, Sister Philomena was proven to be correct. Our friend never woke up. There was an old-fashioned open casket viewing at his house. I got to the door of the front room and could enter no farther than to glimpse his waxy forehead, sealed lashes, and painted lips. I had nothing to offer the abject tears of the family, or his distraught mother at the graveside, who managed to say, "Good night, God bless," as if she were putting her child to bed. The doctor had given me some blue pills. I don't know if we were all in the same chemical fog. 6 of us carried him out of the church on our shoulders without breaking down. A week after the funeral, I found a tattered sheet of folded paper tucked inside a small notebook in my blazer pocket. It was the lyrics to John Lennon's Working Class Hero, which Tony had meticulously written out for me in an erratic hand with a leaking biro in an attempt to persuade me that I should sing it. I said I didn't think I qualified for the title, and for that matter, neither did John Lennon. Tony loved the line about fucking peasants. I think because nobody had ever sung fucking on a record before, and there are people in Liverpool who can insert 5 fucks into a 3-syllable word if they've got a point to make. Not quite 2 months later, on April 28th, 1972 to be precise, my singing partner, Alan Mays, and I played support to a psychedelic folk trio called the National Acoustic Band. The show was at Corey Bank, John Lennon's old school. I thought about Tony and our almost comical debates about whether the recently released Imagine was a load of bullocks or a work of genius, and arguing the merits and authenticity of Working Class Hero, and arguing about the somewhat surprised to find that Nakori Bank was a nice middle class grammar school. The pleasant bit of greenery around it was surely nothing like our grim Victorian red brick monstrosity at the top of Islington, rising out of Liverpool city centre. I suppose the teachers were doing their best. I wouldn't have wanted to drill an appreciation of the poetry of Gerard Manley Hopkins into our unwilling heads. They taught us about sprung rhythm and made us recite, "Glory be to God for dappled things, for skies of couple color, as a brinded cow." The only holy cow I wanted to hear about was the one on that Lee Dorsey record. All right, I'm going to stop it right there. Sentimental. Anyway, I think it's a match, but whatever. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I did turn it up. Anyway, I thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. Good night.